All right, guys, it's your boy Dankbot003. I'm here with
James.
And what did you do today, bro?
I just got top 32 at NAWCQ with Swordsoul.
Nice, nice. Before we get into the profile, is there anything you want to say about how the event was? Any shout outs?
I thought the event was pretty good, aside from Friday when we had the fire. Yeah, but overall it was a pretty good event. A lot of good players. But yeah, as for shout outs, I'd like to shout out Andy over here.
I'm Zodiac famous.
I'd like to shout out my friend Kyle, Team Armageddon, Size who's behind the camera, Danny and Sean for coming here with me and also supporting me. Especially I'd like to shout out Clement for helping me build a deck at 5 a.m. in the morning. So after he drank
5 liters.
Like how much was
7.5.
Yeah, after he drank what, like 7.5 liters of alcohol
plus shots.
Plus shots, yeah. Yeah, no, like he was a real someone for helping me build a deck after all of that. So yeah, I think we could get into the deck profile now.
All right, and before, do you think you made the right choice?
Oh yes, I think I made the best choice because I've been playing this deck since it came out, and I think I just know this deck inside and out. I played this better than I play other decks.
Okay. Yeah. All right, man. Let's get into it.
All right, so for the Swordsoul cards, we played 3 Ecclesia.
Yeah. You want to speak up a little bit?
So for the Swordsoul cards, we played 3 Ecclesia, 3 Moyi, 2 Taya, and 3 Longyun. So this is pretty standard. Some people like to play just 1 Taya or 2 Ecclesia, but Ecclesia is just really good going second, and it also helps you be collector because it's a tuner. And having 2 Taya, it just comes up because of desires, and sometimes you have to discard it off of Longyun. So like just having the second one is really good, also for the grind game. But yeah, it's mostly pretty standard. Now for the other, and in my opinion, the better half of the deck, the Tenyis. Played 3 Ashuna, 3 Vishuddha, 3 Adhara, and 1 Shatana. These are all really good. So this helps you break boards. This helps you rebuild card advantage and make more synchros. This summons any of them. This just helps. This is really good. This is my favorite one. It's really underrated. It either helps you extend into more level 8 synchros, or it helps you break a board, and his effect is actually really hard to interact with because it's the damage step and it doesn't target. So yeah, these cards were all very good. And for the hand traps, I played 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Nibiru, 3 Veiler, and 3 Infirm. There's not much to say, so most of these are pretty standard in the main deck except for the Nibiru, but I was really happy I decided to go with main deck Nibirus because most people didn't actually play around this game 1, and I played against a lot of combo decks. I don't think I played a single deck that wasn't combo or mid-range, so like the Nibirus were live all day. I only played against 1 Despia, but even the Despia player game 1 just played into the Nibiru, and it ended up just winning me the game.
So do you think Nib was the MVP?
Oh, definitely. Out of like all of these cards,
the hand traps?
Yeah, definitely out of all the hand traps, Nib was the best one.
Okay.
Just because of how much combo I played against. So yeah, that is all for the hand traps. Oh, and we played 6 negation hand traps in order to combo with the Nib. Because if you have a negation hand trap with Nib, you're breaking through anything. And for the spells, I played 3 Emergence. This is the best card in the deck since it's the only true 1-card starter. And it's never really dead since even if you draw multiples, you can just discard the other. And it's also good at baiting out Ash, since if you do this as the first action, when the rest of your hand is pretty good, they might just Ash it, like most people just ash it, and you could just play some better cards like these, this, or this after they ash this. These cards are really good. I decided to play 2 vessels and 1 circle because you don't really want to draw multiple of any of these, and this is just better than this. However, the circle allows you to out Mystic Mine game 1, just because you could clear your board and let the mine kill itself. These get sided out a lot, games 2 and 3, if I go second, just because these don't really do anything on their own. They need some sort of specific card to combo with them. But yeah, overall these are pretty good too. Desires is pretty standard. It's just a free draw 2 in this deck. You don't really care what you banish. Played 1 Called By. I didn't draw this too much, but in theory it was supposed to be good with against hand traps. And coming to think of it, I don't think I drew this at all today. And then for the 1 trap card, I played the Blackout. This is the best card. You search this every time you go first, and it makes your follow-up insane with Taya. So that's it for the spells. And for the extra deck, I played 2 Chisho. We make this every time we go first. It's a search and it's a interruption. If you can't make this when you go first, you're probably gonna lose. 2 Baxia helps with extending and breaking boards. This is the 2nd best card in the extra deck after Chisho. 1 Yazi helps you play with weird hands or helps you play through background collector. I had to kill a few collectors with this today. It was pretty insane. Chelfang helps you play around light hand traps and Drytrons, or some other light deck if you happen to play any. For the 10s, we played Chungying, Baron, and Longyun. Longyun is probably the best going first. Chungying helps you OTK, and Baron just helps you play through interruptions going second. Or games 2 and 3 when you think your opponent is gonna have nibs in. Played 1 Berserker. This card is really good. I think it's really underrated just because going first, it's a pretty decent interruption, and going second, it just beats over a lot of stuff, and it could actually be really hard for your opponent to out just because it gets really big and the attack gain is permanent. Fun fact, you could actually link the Berserker into a Monk, just because it's also a non-linked Tenyi monster.
That's a good play there.
That actually came up against Marincess. I linked this away into a 2nd Monk, so I had 2 Monks, and he had nothing to target with Marincess Wave, so I just was able to OTK him. And he was pretty surprised that I was able to link this into a Monk. 1 Shaman. This card is pretty standard. It's pretty good. It helps you on play under barrier, or it just helps you extend and pop cards. And for the, in my opinion, the MVP of the extra deck, the Lina. I made this at least 6 or 7 times this weekend, maybe even more. Like I've made this probably 3 times more than I made Baron. This card was just insane all day. It comes up when I Nibiru my opponent, or I could make it with Ashuna or Valor, which also comes up. This card, it either gets Ecclesia from deck, a hand trap, or I could use it to summon my opponent's monsters for damage. And against the mirror, it's absolutely the best card ever, since you can summon Ecclesia and Baxia to help you start playing. Yeah, that's how I won one of my Swordsoul matches. I think I summoned his Ecclesia with Lina in order to get started, and it was just really good.
Oh, that's a crazy play.
Yeah, no, like it was just insane. I don't think he was expecting the Lina. So that's it for the extra deck.
Would you like to share your side deck?
Yes. But before that, I had some tokens, and I played Swordsoul, and I played Nibiru.
The Nib token for when you play in the Nib?
Exactly. Yeah, because it's going to happen quite a bit with this deck, right? It's like almost like Salamangreat, except I can sometimes make a negate. And then for the side deck, which I thought was really good for this event, since I was expecting a lot of Dragon Link, since I heard a lot of the like better players were going to be on Dragon Link or some punk deck, so I prepared for a lot of combo. So I decided to play like a lot of board breakers. So these mostly went in against the combo decks, and the Lightning Storms went in against Swordsoul and Despia. Like they really can't come back from this. Yeah, this helped me like a bit against all the combo decks I played. Then every time I went first, if it was against some sort of mid-range deck, I always put in Reboot, just because they always side going first cards. Yeah, this card didn't really come up too much. I think I drew it like once, but when I did draw it, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Actually,
when
I drew
it. You basically win. It's the win button.
Actually, there was a second time when I drew it, but then my opponent had Nibiru and like another hand trap anyway, so it didn't matter.
Okay.
But like usually when this resolves, it's busted. Like the setting and the 4K don't matter just because you're gonna kill them. For the going first cards, I played 3 anti-spell. Best going first card this format because everyone plays so many spells, at least in the side deck. And then for my spicy tech this weekend, I played 2 different Dimension Grounds. In theory, this was supposed to be a better D barrier against decks that make link monsters like Punk or Dragons or Marincess. And against like the decks which D barrier is supposed to be good against, this is also really good because they can't, Despia can't use cards like Mirror Jade or Branded in Red under this because they're not going to have a graveyard, and they can't send monsters to the graveyard. Against Swordsoul, all of their Tenyis and Swordsoul monsters get banished, so they can't use Tenya effects or build advantage with Swordsoul cards. Sadly, I couldn't tell you how well this card actually performed because I never drew this once out of all of the times I sided it in. But in theory, it was supposed to be just completely insane.
So you didn't draw this either of the 2 days?
No, I didn't draw this in any game in which I sided this in, which was pretty much any time I went first, day 1 or day 2.
Okay. Well, man, seems pretty solid. Before we go, what are your thoughts on Swordsoul coming into Splight format?
I think it would still have a chance, especially in the TCG, just because here the deck, I think the Swordsoul deck is better than what they have in the OCG, because we play way more extenders in the form of Tenyis. I think the way, like, this deck would still be good going forward, but you would just have to change the way you try to play it. I think the way to play it is with, it's probably going second with a lot of board breakers, since hand traps are kind of terrible against splites. But I definitely think the deck is still really solid going forward, but it just has to be solved in a way.
Awesome, man. Hopefully in the next format, we'll see you doing some damage with Swordsoul.
Oh yeah, you definitely will.
All right, guys. Dingbot003 signing out.